All right, what's going on, guys? Another episode of the Growth by Shawn podcast. Nicole Dewes.
Oh, here we go. Off to a
Yep.
great start.
Yep. Off to a great start. So, Nicole Dewes, what's going on?
Nothing. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. This is my first podcast ever, so
There's a
excited.
lot of people that say that,
Yeah,
so I'm excited. I'm excited to take the, I don't want to say podcast virginity. That just
I
sounds
was
like wrong. That sounds wrong.
podcast be
But yeah.
podcast.
Um, shit, I didn't even ask you beforehand. Let me ask you now while we're recording. Is there anything off limits for you? I love to preface that.
No, honestly, I feel like wherever the conversation goes, I'm here for it. There's nothing, I'm an open book. Nothing that
Okay.
I'm like,
All
oh,
right. A lot
geez,
of people
man.
say that, and I get deep sometimes.
Oh
So,
shit, here we
all
go.
right. All right. Why don't you just explain to us just a little bit about like who we're talking to and like who you are and like what you do now, things of that nature.
Okay, I'll try and keep this brief. So
I don't
I'm
care.
Chris. I am 23 years old. So basically, background, I was an athlete throughout for my whole life. I played soccer for I played indoor on like an actual high school team, obviously, then like club soccer, all the things. So once I got to college, I basically quit athletics cold turkey. And um the freshman 15, I was a victim of the freshman 15 for sure. And in that time, I went to Purdue. So I was going to Purdue for finance and had the goal to be a financial advisor. So freshman year of college, gained a bunch of weight, lost all my confidence, and was just really going through it. Truthfully, like I never struggled in school. Everything was my maintaining my weight was easy. I could eat what I wanted, and I never had any issues with that. School was easy for me. Like life was just pretty much. I had no issues, and then I got to college, and it was like boom, real life, real life. And I was really struggling in school. Like my first econ exam I ever took, I got a 44%. And I had never failed an exam before. So that was like, it was tough. Okay, I really struggled. So basically towards the end of freshman year, I was like a sack of shit the entire year. And then towards
Mhm.
the end, I started going to the gym consistently. I started, doing cardio, just trying to lose the weight as fast as I could. And then I was like getting strong. I was doing the Instagram swipe workouts and I wanted to get strong. So that was like I shifted my focus towards from trying to, be skinny to trying to get stronger in the gym. And that essentially just like snowballed into every area of my life. And like my transformation in, freshman year was cool, but like every single year I was leveling up, which was awesome. And in that time, so graduated from Purdue, the degree in finance, started as a financial advisor, had a great gig with, so I used to live in Indiana. So I was working with this advisor. I was his retirement plan. So as he would phase out, I would phase in. I was getting his entire book of business. Like that is an amazing opportunity. And like it's so hard as a new advisor to build a client base. So I was super fortunate. But I didn't want to stay in Indiana long term. And if I did that, I would have to build my practice there. I'd be stuck there. And also, fitness was my passion. And when I talk about fitness, I get so excited. And I love that health, just like health, fitness, nutrition, all of that. Finance, yeah, I find it interesting. I like making money in the stock market, making your money work for you. But did I want to do it every day? Like that was more of a job, like a chore than how I felt of like, oh, I could build a business with around fitness. Like, shit, let's do that. So
Mhm.
um I clients were about to be transferred into my name and I was like had this internal conflict of like I need to say something like I don't want it to be before it's too late. So I told my boss, cried in his office. I was like I told him like listen dude like I don't plan on doing this long term. So that was like the day that right before 2023 began. I told him that we decided that I was going to then moving forward he knew what my plan was and I was kind of like shit I'm in this now like now I have to figure something else out. So I started my coaching business right before 2023 began. So in December of 2022. And I've been doing that since then, obviously. And then in that time, I moved to Virginia. I wanted to get out of Indiana. I hate Indiana. My family's there, so I like it for that reason. But and since then I was working remotely for Transamerica just for some consistent income, but I recently quit my job and I am full-time online fitness coaching. So that's that's me.
That's you. That's the whole story. Um,
Yes. Left something.
the biggest thing that stuck out to me from the get-go here is the lack of confidence to where you're at now, and I've gone through your prep journey and everything like that, how much of your confidence is linked to how you look?
Oh, if you would have asked me this question before prep, I'd be like, because I was very secure in my body at that
Hmm.
time, I'd be like, oh, it doesn't matter the way I look. Like it's all up here, you know?
Hmm.
After going through prep and being so obsessed with the way that I looked and receiving validation based on that and like having the goal of getting smaller, smaller, smaller for months. And now going through that. So I've come to realize a lot of my worth is tied to my physical appearance. And I don't think that that's like, I think that everybody to a certain extent feels that way.
Hmm.
And it's not only about the way that you look, it's also the way that you feel. So like
Hmm.
I wasn't feeling healthy. So that also
Hmm.
plays into that, is reflected in your personality as well. But yeah, that's definitely something that I'm working on. It's like you're
Hmm.
more than your body, and I know that, but it's really a really big mental challenge
Hmm.
um to move through that, I suppose.
Okay. So as you're continuing to work through it yourself, and I mean, this is the thing, like it, especially in like a coaching environment, you really just need to be one or two steps ahead of someone in a sense, right? In order to be able to help them more accurately, I'll say.
Right.
So as you're continuing to navigate that, what are some of the helpful mindset switches that you help your women through that have felt the way that you've felt, and how do you coach them through that?
That's a really good question. And like I totally agree. Like I've been through that. I know how it feels. So this is what I did to move through it. Let's see. So I think a lot of it is shifting your focus from like the I have to or I get to. So like I don't like the way that I look right now, so I have to go to the gym to change it. Or instead of saying that, I don't like the way that I look right now, but I get to go to the gym. I get to move my body to feel more energized, to feel better about myself. And that will in turn change my body. So I guess like reframing the get I have to and I get to like that. And like letting it be a choice and you're choosing to be healthier as opposed to choosing to work your body so you can lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that like getting rid of the goal of especially paying attention to the scale,
Mm-hmm.
um, and like not let sometimes I don't even have my clients weigh themselves because
Mm-hmm.
that's like so they think that they're making progress, but the scale isn't moving. And they're like, what the hell? It's like, dude, you look like a different person.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's even something that I have to remember because I'm trying to build muscle and but the scale is going up because I was unhealthily skinny, but it's like, oh, I don't want the scale to go up, but I want to build muscle. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
you need to understand like what your goals are and that your body is going to kind of lost track of the question here. But
That's okay.
um yeah, just remind I feel like just coming back to your main goal and
Mm-hmm.
not having your main goal be set on just physical appearance.
Mm-hmm.
On if you have the goal of becoming healthier, then everything else falls into place. So kind of reminding them of that. Like you're not doing this just to lose a few inches off your waist. You're doing this to be
Mm-hmm.
a healthier human.
Yep. And I mean, that just like that's part of the conversation that we had before we started recording and everything, where my body weight has range anywhere from 189 to 191, and it fluctuates in between those numbers. But like if I was to look at myself the first week of January versus now, it's completely different. And
100%.
one of the best switches that has worked for myself in terms of like helping people navigate this, someone comes to me that weighs 200 pounds and they say, I feel really good at 170. 170 is a particular number for a certain reason. uh my wife has more sex with me when I weigh 170.
Yep. Okay.
My, 170 is my high school weight, things of that nature. And to get out of that like mentality, something that's been helpful for myself is if I told you that you could weigh 190, but you look better than you do at 170, would the weight matter? Things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Good.
and so going in this like direction and path of like self-confidence of where we're starting to have this conversation, what would you say are the three pillars for your own self-worth that you look at outside of your body now?
Hmm. Three pillars for my own self-worth. And like by this, do you mean like three things that I consistently do? Like, can you
I'm going to
give me?
say value that you do. It could be
Okay.
something that you value within yourself, like you're a very trustworthy person. It could
Oh,
be
gotcha.
things that you do. You can take this as you'd like here, but I think this
Okay.
is going to be helpful for some of the women that listen to this, that especially like as our society right now, or at least has been told of how much value has been put just in your body alone and how you look.
Yes. Okay. I actually love this question. So, some things about, I almost take it as like, what do I love, like value about myself
Mm-hmm,
that, yeah, provides worth. Got it now. Okay. I will say that I am very happy with the way that I'm able to form connections with people and be vulnerable and authentic enough for people to feel trusting or like trust within me to open up to me. So I feel like in to say that in like a very simple way, like I feel like I'm very personable and people feel comfortable around me. So
mm-hmm,
that's something that I'm like, that's awesome.
mm-hmm,
Let's see. I am um I'm like, what else do I have? I would say that I'm a very like trustworthy individual, or like not even just trustworthy, just like if I tell you that I'm going to do something,
mm-hmm,
I will follow through. And like I'm true to my word, I suppose.
mm-hmm,
So that's a, get value from that.
mm-hmm,
And let's see, one other. This is an oddly hard question. I'm like, this is not
mm-hmm.
that difficult. Um, let's see. So I also, I guess I like to make people feel this kind of goes into my first thing that I said, but like make people feel comfortable and seen, I guess. That's a
Mm-hmm.
good one. I think because I know what it feels like to not be like fully seen or heard. So I really am like do my best to listen to not only what you're saying, but like what you mean by what you're saying and like
Mhm,
make it clear that I understand you on like a deeper level. So
mhm,
a lot of this comes back to, I guess, like the way that I interact with other people and like genuinely um creating like deep connections with
mhm,
people that I meet. That
mhm.
was a hard question.
I understand. Um I like to I would like to say that I am a great question asker.
Okay, yeah, I
And
could agree with that
there's
already.
like there's a method to this, right?
Okay.
And so when I ask a question like that, like one, you said a great statement that you help people want to be seen and heard. One of the biggest things in terms of like human behavior and what people actually want from another, like what we want as a person, like what we desire, is that people want to be seen, heard, and understood. Those
Yeah.
are like the three very key components to like how we value ourselves.
Yeah.
And so the reason that I asked this question of what do you value within yourself, are these always things that you valued in yourself?
Ooh, I think they were things I like was not aware of,
Hmm,
that I was always hyper aware of all the things I didn't like that I did,
hmm,
habits and things. But once I took the time to actually like look internally and be like, what do I like about myself? I'm like, oh, this is a pretty consistent theme that like it's just who I am as a person. And like, yeah, I started. So I wouldn't say that now that I'm aware of it,
hmm,
yes, I'm very um thankful, grateful. I'm like
hmm,
proud that this is like who I am as a person. But prior to that, I was not even aware of positive things that I offer to the world.
hmm. So now when we said that, what do you think one of the biggest things that women struggle with now in terms of learning how to value themselves?
I just feel like now I talk a lot of shit about social media, which is
Mhm,
funny because like that's how I market my business. And I think there's a lot of good that comes from it, but there's also a lot of negatives. And just like the comparison and the ability to compare yourself to not only other women that are your age, but be your brain, you shouldn't be able to see everyone across the entire world within seconds of scrolling through your phone, because like your brain doesn't know if you're standing next to these people or if you're seeing them on Instagram.
mhm,
So like that constant comparison, I like to think about like going to the grocery store, like not everyone looks like Kim Kardashian walking around.
mhm,
So you're not like, oh, look at that lady by the cheese, like, oh my gosh, she's so perfect. And then her over there. But like on Instagram, everyone you follow, it's like oh, look at her, so it's
mhm,
like I think the comparison aspect makes it very difficult to have that like self-love and be secure within yourself when you're constantly comparing yourself specifically on social media. Before it used to be with magazines and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it's just evolved and now it's so much easier to play that comparison game.
All right. So what do we do about it?
I think you are in control of what you consume. Like you are what you eat. Oh, this
Mm-hmm.
was talked about last night. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I don't follow celebrities on Instagram. So I've tried to curate my Instagram as much as I could. I follow a lot of fitness people in the space, so I clearly am, comparing myself. It still happens. It's just part of human nature, but so curating who you follow, weeding out, like I don't follow the Kardashians. I don't
Mm-hmm.
follow people that look unrealistic or have clearly gotten work done, things of that nature. Also, I try to consume as little as possible on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so especially on Instagram, which is funny, that's where I post the most. But if I'm going to, I guess, like go on social media, I really like YouTube. I feel like because
Mm-hmm.
you see a lot more, because it's real. It's a lot more real. It's kind of hard to like fake. It's easy to be fake in a 20-second Instagram video, but
Mm-hmm.
in a 20-minute YouTube video, you see a lot of people's actual personalities and it's not as curated. So, yeah, just like limiting your time that you spend scrolling, curating your feed and that nature. And yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Um, to start to shift this into like YouTube, because you have a presence on YouTube, I've been able to intake a lot of your videos and things. One thing that really stuck out to me when you were going through your prep, okay, I believe that you had stated that you had started to build an identity around the prep.
Mhm.
How do you go about the seasons of life and building a new identity now?
That's a great question because I'm working on it right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny. Because with that such a specific goal, like an aggressive goal, everything, every part of your life goes into it. Your sole focus is that. You
Mm-hmm.
build everything that you do around your cardio sessions, your food, and like every conversation that I had was about prep. Oh, I'm X amount of weeks out. Oh, this is, oh, how's your prep going? Oh, you look so, so shredded, all of these things. So now that that's gone, and I'm like, who am I now
Mm-hmm.
outside of the super lean girl at the gym? I guess just getting back, kind of, not like I forgot what my passions were, but
Mm-hmm.
becoming more clear on things that I like to do outside of the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And also just like trying new things. So like I got back into, I started rock climbing. I went rock climbing. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like this is something fun to do.
Mm-hmm.
I got into hot yoga again, which it's not really for me. I thought I liked it, but I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I truly do not like it. So I'm like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to do that anymore. But just finding other things outside of the gym that I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy, and just like also really validating that, like how I got my identity was tied to prep. Like I was almost like judging myself for that. I'm like, why just
Mm-hmm.
forget about it? Like it's in the past. But like that was my life for, a year. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like that's valid that I'm struggling to leave that season in the past and find new things, but also trying to view it as like an opportunity. It's like
Mm-hmm.
now I have all this free time that I'm
Mm-hmm.
not struggling, so let's like find other things that I do like to do and not create a new identity, but just like just try new experiences and see what that brings for me in the future.
I understand that. Nicole, we're perfect for each other. I love rock climbing. All right. Um,
Amazing.
but so I've only done indoor rock climb. I have not
Okay,
done
same.
outdoor rock climb. Okay.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, let's relax here.
yeah.
Okay.
And I personally I like bouldering more
That's
than like
that's what I did.
okay, see?
I've
Um,
never done the pulley
the
thing.
top rope.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm like I can do like the belaying and like I'm belay certified and everything, but yeah, I just like bouldering more for some reason. I feel like you can just go at it like you can go and you can do a climb and you can fail and you can do rest and do a climb versus doing like a top rope session where you go and do it and then you are exhausted for like the next 20 minutes, because
Okay,
it's such a um
interesting.
what were
I,
you gonna
I've
yeah.
never done what's it, top rope, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've never done that. And I think I will try it. But I do, like you said, with the bouldering, like you do it and you fall off and you're like, all right, let me like look at this again. And so you can constantly get back to it. Whereas like
Mhm.
also I really don't love heights. So like being super, super high up there
Mhm.
kind of makes me nervous too. So
I understand. I was doing this one climb for months when my friend and I were going like very, very consistently. And one, like I don't love heights and like there's always that small fear either way of when you're
yeah.
up there. Even when you're bouldering a little bit, but that goes away after just like a climb or two.
Hmm.
Um, but I was struggling for this climb and it was called Child's Play. And it was like my nemesis. I absolutely hated it. I felt like it made me feel so low and weak. And
Right.
like,
Mockery. Yeah.
yeah, I hated it. I think this is a great like conversation in terms of like taking rock climbing and looking and going, having a small failure and being able to go up and do it again. So, what are some of the failures that you have gone through and how did you pick yourself up and keep going?
Ooh, that's a really good question. And I feel like that's why I love the gym so much because you choose
Mhm.
something hard, you know, you like are constantly pursuing hard thing, you're failing and you're trying again. Um, let's see. The first thing that popped in my head, oddly enough, was I was in a 3-year relationship and it was like at the beginning, I thought like this is the person I'm gonna marry. You know,
Mhm.
I was what 19 when I got into the relationship, so like I had a lot of growing to do, but
Mhm.
that was everything. It was amazing until it wasn't. And I, not that I view that as a failure, because now I learned so much in that relationship. I grew so much in that relationship. Um, but it's discouraging when you spend so much time with someone, you invest so much time with into something,
Mhm.
and then it turns out to not be the right thing. Um, so using that moving forward, now that I know like the things that I valued in that relationship and the things that weren't there for me. So now looking for a relationship now, I have all of this knowledge that from that past failure, you know, of
Mhm.
what I look for. So that's one big thing. Other failures, let's see. Hmm.
You can leave
And I
it
feel
there
like
if you want. Okay, go ahead.
yeah. No, I was gonna say like
Mhm.
not to be like oh, I was always good in school, but like truly
Mhm.
like school came like kind of natural. I always had to study, obviously. I put in work.
Mhm.
But just like I guess in college, like the econ exam, econ
Mhm.
was like the hardest course, that and calculus, those like kicked my ass, but like I knew that, oh, this is something good. Um, when I would always have so much stress and anxiety coming up to an exam. And just knowing that it was in the future really like consumed me. But once I sat down and actually started studying, like the thought of studying for the exam was just so like, ugh, so freaky.
Mm.
But then once I sat down and after the first 10 minutes, I'm like into it. Then I sit there, you know, for an hour or two and I actually work
Mhm.
at it. And I'm like, oh, I feel a lot better.
Mm.
So learning, I guess that is like a big um something that I learned was just like, yes, I can struggle through something and I can have this scary thing in the future, but like the sooner that I actually get to working towards it and like working at it and practicing and being bad at it and continuously practicing, like
Mhm.
I'll get through it eventually. So
Mhm. Um, I'm glad that we've landed here because so how our stories start to correlate when I was 19, I had a relationship where I was like, oh my God, she's awesome. Um,
okay.
and that ended, yeah, it was like 2 years, and I was like, yep, this is the greatest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that didn't work out. But like it happens. And again, it's not a failure, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn from that and you grow as a person. Relationships have been a big theme on the last few episodes for some reason. So
Okay.
I love that you're a little bit um, younger than some of the previous guests. And um, so what is it now that you find that you're looking for to value from a partner as as yourself?
This is a great question. So I feel
Mm.
like since I moved to Virginia, I've really been in like the casual dating pool. I've been putting myself out there. I've been
Mhm.
going on dates and um when people ask me like, "Oh, what's your type?" I used to be like 6 foot, dark hair, jacked.
Yep.
And like obviously, okay, those things are like I like someone that's physically
Hmm.
fit that takes care of their health, but more
Yeah.
it's more about their qualities. So
Hmm.
like um you have to be driven. I don't care what your career is. I don't care how much money you make, but you have to want, I want somebody that is passionate about what they do and are constantly looking to level up in career wise. But
Hmm.
how you do one thing is how you do all things.
Hmm.
So, somebody that is never satisfied or never wants to just stay comfortable. Is always
Hmm.
kind of looking for that the next way to level up. That's like really important to me. Um, and obviously, I really care. The way you take care of your physical self says a
Hmm.
lot about you as a person. So like obviously, because I want you to be healthy and live
Hmm.
long, you know, but like
Hmm.
also, I need to be attracted to somebody. I also find like obviously being physically fit is attractive to me, but
Hmm.
the work when you look at somebody that is clearly put in the time and effort to look the way that they do, like that's respectable. So that's also a big thing. So physically fit, driven in their career, just driven in life.
Hmm.
Um, and also this is a big theme that I've noticed
Hmm.
in like the dates that I've been going on. I like the um like an equal amount of like I don't like when somebody controls the conversation and cuts me off
Hmm.
because I enjoy like I ask you questions about yourself. I want you to elaborate, and then I also want to be able to share my what I think as well. So it's
Hmm.
like if somebody is just like speaking to at me, and
Hmm.
then if I'm trying to speak and then they talk over me, that's like I'm like okay, I'm not respected here.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that I try. I once I notice that if it's a common theme, I'm like
Hmm.
not for me.
Yeah. I think something that's been beneficial for me when I hear that, like sometimes I think what happens is that we almost feel bad in a sense of wanting someone that we're attracted to and that takes care of themselves and things of that nature. Not projecting and saying that that's what you're saying here, but like it's important. And what happens is I think that people, when you look at short-term attraction and long-term attraction. Short-term attraction is how someone takes care of themselves physically, and then that long-term attraction is built when you have those other qualities of like the drive and everything that you're talking about. At
Yes.
least that's been a helpful way for myself to view things. Um, but again, like you need both.
Mhm.
Um, so now when I look at this, what do you bring to the table?
Okay, I feel like, yeah, you can't be looking for something that you don't have yourself. And once I
Hmm.
learned that, I was like, damn,
Hmm.
okay, okay. So yeah, I would say that I have the drive. I am committed to growing in my life as much as I can and constantly seeking discomfort in order to grow. So, like in my business, I'm always looking, trying to level up as much as I can. And I have this vision of what I want to create. That's another thing, I guess, like having big goals in life.
Hmm.
Um, so I am driven towards my goals.
Hmm.
And I take care of myself. I don't just I care about the way that I eat. I prioritize my sleep. I do all these things to be the healthiest person that I can be, so I can show up in my life the way I want to and show up
Hmm.
for other people that way as well.
Hmm. What is your vision?
This is a great question. So I feel like it's constantly evolving, but I don't think that I'm going to be a fitness coach forever.
Hmm.
Um, I eventually want to scale my coaching business and have coaches underneath me. But I guess my right now, something that keeps coming up for me is I actually had a little meal prep business when I was living back in Indiana out of my
Hmm.
parents' kitchen. I was dishing meals and it was actually growing like just by word of mouth, like quicker than I could actually keep up with while I was working my 9 to 5. So I was like, at one point I was like, and food got super expensive. So I was like, I can't do this. But I think that finding the issue most people have is not having time to cook or not
Hmm.
knowing what to eat and things of that nature. So obviously with one-on-one coaching, that's what I help people do. But I want to have a meal prep company but the specific part that's cool about it
Hmm.
is that it's marketed towards high school athletes because
Hmm.
I think that if you can learn not maybe you're not learning how to cook, if you're eating a pre-cooked meal, but
Hmm.
you're learning that if I eat quality food like this, I feel better. They will experience like a different shift in themselves. And that will in turn, like long down the road, make them want to continue to pursue healthy food that makes them feel good. So because that's like kind of my thing. Like I didn't know anything about nutrition
Hmm.
in high school and when I was an athlete. And so then once I got to college, I was like, had to learn all this stuff on my own. So not only just like having the meal prep company,
Hmm.
but like somehow tying in like education around food itself. So I haven't really, I guess I should get more clear on that, but that's just
Hmm.
something that I down the road, I want to help people become the healthiest version of themselves, and that's
Hmm.
the avenue that I would like to take as of right now.
Hmm. Where do people go wrong in terms of cooking and preparing their food?
They don't.
Exactly.
I feel like seriously, I
Hmm.
think that if people I so many times even my friends will be like, okay, I'm gonna cook, I bought all this food, I have these recipes I'm gonna make. So they go out and buy a million different ingredients
Hmm.
that they need this much of it and they buy all this stuff. So it's
Hmm.
so expensive. Okay. And then they either don't end up making it because they don't have time, or it's like just so much work to do every single week. So it's like they do it one week and then that's it. Like meal prepping is so much work. So I think
Hmm.
that they just overcomplicate it.
Hmm.
So just and also not planning ahead. So like if you seriously just take 2 hours on your Sunday to prep your protein in bulk or whatever,
Hmm.
and go grocery shopping, that if you just do that, that can change your entire week. And if you do that every single week, like dude, it changes your life.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think overcomplicating it and just trying to make extravagant meals or making it way more difficult than it has to be.
Okay. Um, this is a great topic because the thing is like all eating is really just preparation in my eyes.
Mhm.
um and we want all of these like fun meals and we want it to taste so good and all of these things, and like the way that I coach is along the same lines, but a little bit different. I found it easier for people to take those two different blocks instead of like a Sunday where you take 2 or 3 hours. Meal prep on a Sunday and a Wednesday. That way you're not like by the time Saturday comes, you're eating the same like ground beef from Sunday, things like that. And I mean it works. As long as you're prepared, you
Right.
you won't fail, right? And so with the recipes and everything, recipes can become so complicated and all of this. And then, just like you had mentioned, like there's so many different ingredients to buy and it's overwhelming and things. And then, it's taking you 3 hours to make a pancake or something. And,
Right.
you know, you can get a long, long way from just changing your condiments, changing
Mhm.
your seasonings, changing the modality in terms of like how you cook, whether you are grilling chicken, putting it in the air fryer, or cooking it on the grill. All of these different ways to completely change um, like how you taste a meal. You
Mhm.
can add pickles to meals or cabbage and
Yeah.
all of these small little things or hot peppers that are very low calorie options. Um, so, what do you think it is about people that they're not prioritizing their meal prep? And I know that you had said time already, but I mean, the time thing is just about making it a priority to me. Everyone has the time, right?
Mhm.
Or everyone can make the time. So why are we not prioritizing meal prep and the food that we eat?
So I think there's two things that come to mind with this. First, I think everyone thinks like meal prepping, your food has to be boring, like you
Hmm.
said. Like I don't want to eat like rubbery chicken. Okay,
Hmm.
like okay, and also maybe they're not used to eating whole single ingredient foods.
Hmm.
So if they think about eating a plate of potatoes, steak, and broccoli, they're like, that's so boring. I'd rather have whatever's in the frozen aisle that I can air fry. Like that tastes better. So I
Hmm.
think they're addicted to those like highly processed foods.
Hmm.
So their like palate is like always wanting that instead of foods that you can meal prep and create and prepare at the beginning of the week.
Hmm.
And then the second thing I think is they just convince themselves that it's too much work or they don't know how.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just like anything. I always like to say, like, when you get your license, like the first time you ever drove a car, like it's very overwhelming. You don't know what you're doing. But
Hmm.
like now you get in your car, you don't even think about it.
Hmm.
It's just a thing you do. So it's just same thing with cooking. Maybe you're not, like, I don't know how to cook chicken. I don't know what I'm doing really either. I just,
Hmm.
just throw it together and see what happens.
Hmm.
But you just like, instead of convincing yourself like, oh, I don't know how, reframing that and being like, I'm just going to try this week and see what happens. So I
Hmm.
think that I guess the two answers would be like thinking that good foods that are good for you don't taste good because your palate is so like over like saturated with processed foods,
Hmm.
and also just convincing themselves that they don't know how, or they're not gonna, yeah, just don't know how to do it.
Hmm. Um, so I'm gonna take this either one of two. I'm gonna take it this way. So now when I look at your like YouTube channel, right, you
Mhm.
have different recipes and grocery hauls and things of this nature, and you can help teach people at least a little bit of what to buy or how to
Mhm.
eat and how to prepare different things. Why was the YouTube channel started?
Hmm. I think because if you haven't noticed, I like to talk. Like I
Hmm.
cannot, I'm very bad at getting being concise, I
Hmm.
suppose. I like to elaborate, and I like to,
Hmm.
get my point across in a lot of words. So YouTube long form content, I'm able to actually elaborate, and I think I can provide more value that way than in a 30-second reel.
Hmm.
Also, like I said, the things I value about myself, like I don't think I mentioned my personality, just like a bubbly. I feel
Hmm.
like you get to see more of who I am. I can show myself more through long form content. So that was really, and also my friend was like, if you're not on YouTube, what are you doing? Like
Hmm.
YouTube is such a way better platform than Instagram. And I was like,
Yep.
I'll give it a shot. And I really love it.
Okay. So now when I look at your YouTube, how how did you develop this vulnerability that you have when sharing the things that you talk about on your YouTube page?
It's really funny when I first start recording, I'm like, hi, it's Nicole. Like, and I'm like, so like, and then at the end, I'm like, yeah, so like, it's just like opening up to the camera. So like,
Mhm.
really just getting comfortable in front of the camera, and accepting that like people are gonna judge whatever you do. They're gonna
Mhm.
judge you. I mean, this is a very quick side tangent.
Mhm.
At the first Rise event that I ever went to, I don't know if you know who KK Fit, the twins are. They're Gymshark. They're like
I
Gymshark
feel
athletes.
I've heard of them, but I'm not like, yeah, I know at least of I've heard of them.
Okay, so they were crazy shredded, like they looked insane, and then they went through like a really tough mental health um period. And they were actually at the Rise event and they spoke on that. But I was like so hyped to see them in person. They were like celebrities to me. I had followed them forever. And when I told a few people, oh yeah, dude, I got to meet KK Fit, the twins, at the event, and they're like, didn't they like gain a whole bunch of weight? I think like three or four people said that. These women were making millions of dollars on social media from their business that they created around fitness, and now everybody and all that people see now is that they're overweight. Like, okay, well, like they have a really long story of what happened and like their mental
Mhm.
health battles, but people just they see what they want to see. So
Mhm.
after that was like a big thing where I was like, damn, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Mhm.
So I'm just gonna share what I want to share. If you don't agree with it, everyone's a people pleaser to their core, I feel like, and
Mhm.
I am as well, but
Mhm.
learning that like I'm gonna be judged, but I'd rather be myself and
Mhm.
people judge me than act like somebody that I'm not, I guess.
Mm. So when you say that we're people pleasers to our core, in a sense, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think that just boils down to like wanting to be of service to others as well, though. So
Mhm.
I do think that there can be like a good and helpful outlook and component to that. So
Yes.
when you look at people pleasing now, and there are a lot of people that don't care as much about themselves as they do others, and they want to be able to help everyone else before they help themselves.
Mhm.
What is the first step to actually helping yourself instead of trying to help everyone else?
This is like the main theme in a lot of women that come to me, specifically, especially mothers,
Hmm.
that it's like they care, they put all their energy towards everything around them and nothing left for themselves. So I think understanding first that if you're pouring into everybody else's cup and not pouring into yourself, then everybody else is not getting the best version of you. So like once you realize like, oh, if I am selfish for a little, it's not selfish, but if I
Hmm.
focus on myself and put some energy into myself, like I'm going to not only benefit me, but I'm benefiting everybody around me. So
Mm.
that it's like, oh, okay. So let me take a few steps backwards
Hmm.
in order to progress forward. Um, so yeah, I think just like that mindset shift alone is a really big thing that needs to be clear. Um, And then, so what was your question? Like, what's the first step in
in
taking the
getting out of
prioritizing
people
yourself?
pleasing and focusing on yourself?
Okay. Yeah, I would say the first step, um, mhm. I guess identifying your needs and identifying like where you've fallen short for yourself in the past or where you start to continuously fall short
Mm-hmm.
and then focusing on that. So like if
Mm-hmm.
you prioritize cooking for everybody else in your family, but then you eat cereal for dinner because you're so tired of cooking all day,
Mm-hmm.
like that's a pattern.
Yep.
So we need to prioritize you getting your nutrition in. So I guess like just there's not one specific thing, but in overall by identifying or just like analyzing your life, where else are you putting out for everybody else and not putting out for yourself? And how can you start to shift that towards doing more for yourself?
Mm-hmm. So we're connected because of Nick, right? And so when you look at spirituality and your beliefs around that, can you just give me like a brief synopsis of like why you are on a path that is bridging the gap between spirituality and business as opposed to someone that's just like money driven? And like what are your beliefs around like the spiritual realm?
This the great question again. So I grew up, we're gonna do a little bit backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up I was never forced to go to church, but my grandmother was very religious on my mom's side, and my mom is religious. My dad was like, nah, like, we're not. So I was like more like, yeah, nah, I'm not going to church. Like, so I was like almost anti-religion.
Mm-hmm.
Like I believed in God, but I was
Mm-hmm.
like, whatever. And then once I started getting into health and fitness, and then I started seeing the spirituality stuff and like
Mm-hmm.
meditation, all that. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, woo woo, you know? And then I started becoming more aware of my thoughts, becoming more conscious. And I started meditating. I did breath work, even just like a 30 or like a 5 minute breath work thing. And I was like, whoa, like this is crazy. Then I started learning more about that stuff. So um I think the reason that, so your question was, why do I find it important to bridge spirituality and business as opposed to just being business driven? Is that your question?
Sure.
Okay. Did I just make that my own question? um, let's see. I just think because hmm, your energy is super powerful. So I guess like everything is energy, and learning that was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh wow, that makes a lot of sense. Like what you put out into this world is what you'll receive.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to ignore that and not be tapped into yourself or believe that there is, a source, whatever. I don't
Mm-hmm.
really, I say God, source, universe, whatever, like interchangeably.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if you want to not believe that that's true and just kind of do your own thing, that's great. But I think that what you put out into the world will be received. So, and I don't know that I think that a lot of like I have keep it like, oh, I've manifested this life. Like I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I have a lot more that I want to do. But I have made a lot of growth. I have experienced a lot of growth. And I think that having the positive mindset shifts that I have played into that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I just think that it's important because knowing that there is a plan for you and whatever is supposed to happen, like will happen, and everything is like a lesson and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
that really helps you drive you forward in business and kind of gives you more like hope or something to hang on to, like knowing like there is so much good coming if I don't give up, as opposed to just thinking you're on your own. Like spirituality is BS and like
Mm-hmm.
um whatever like I control everything that happens to me, and like there's no greater plan, and no one knows what's going to happen in the future. I mean, nobody does know, but like,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I feel like that was not the best answer, but it's what I got you. That's what I can give
That's
you.
okay. You don't have to explain it like that. Um, so where I'm going from here, my real question was like, what are your beliefs around spirituality? That was really
Okay.
like my main driving question. Um, so I want to dive into that just a little bit.
Mhm.
You don't need to give me the full experience unless you so please to, but then we'll go from there.
So just my true thoughts on spirituality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this has really evolved over the past few years.
Hmm.
But I would say that I am spiritual. I'm not really religious, but I go to church, and I think that at the end of the day, um, hmm, I don't know why this is such a difficult question, but I feel like everybody makes religion, like if you think about like the Bible and whatever, there's sins and we should do and shouldn't. But like as long as you're trying, if you are showing up and being a good human being, like you're treating other
Mhm.
people how you want to be treated, like that's like the golden rule, I suppose. And like I have trust in the universe and like that whatever, which sounds, but I just said that I'm like that sounds so weird. I have trust in the universe, but like
Mhm.
whatever is supposed to happen is supposed to happen.
Mhm.
And this is almost gonna take like a weird. This is like the only way I can explain it. Recently, I feel like we might get into this, but
Mhm.
my dad passed away recently in
Mhm.
June of last year. And
Mhm.
I always say, like, like everything happens for you, not to you. And like,
Mhm.
I was telling myself that. And like, I had a moment where I was just like, I'm like, that's such bullshit. Like, that
Mhm.
I like was like, this doesn't make any sense. It's unfair, all this stuff. But I do have that like deep knowing that like everything that happens in life, like, it may not make sense to me, but it's supposed to happen.
Mhm.
So like knowing, understanding that, and then choosing, like I get to choose now if I want to um take what happened to me and use it to like push me forward to where I'm supposed to be,
Mhm.
or let it keep me stuck. So I feel like again, I don't know why I can't answer this question like
Mhm.
directly,
It's okay.
but yeah, I feel like I just having the deeper knowing that whatever that my life is planned out and I just
Mhm.
have to, surrender almost to life circumstances and take the obstacles and keep moving forward.
Mhm. You just have to not fuck it up. That's about
Yeah,
it.
just don't
You
fuck.
know?
Yeah.
When you bring up about how your dad passed and life is happening for us, not to us, all of these aspects, all of these sayings that we've heard
Mhm.
before and we want to believe and we want to trust, have you gotten to a place where you do believe that that was something that I don't want to say needed to happen, but happened for you?
Hmm. No, no. I know I will
Mm-hmm.
eventually see that,
Mm-hmm.
but I just feel like I'm still so like bitter and like I truly am like I don't I guess it's forcing me to I mean, every time you experience loss or pain, like there is growth on the other side of it if you push through it and like just
Mm-hmm.
showing that like you can get through the hard things. Like, yeah, okay, it's taught me that so far. But I do not see why this was supposed to happen like at
Mm-hmm.
all. And I feel like I see other people. Another thing it taught me was like not to take people for granted. So like
Mm-hmm.
people when I see my friends like complaining about their parents and like do you like you don't get
Mm-hmm.
it but I didn't get it obviously until
Mm-hmm.
that happened to me, so it's giving me a different perspective on life and
Mm-hmm.
I'm well aware of that, but no, I don't think that I fully understand. I don't know that I'll ever understand like, oh, that's why that happened. Like I don't really think that that's a possibility,
Yeah,
but yeah.
I get that. And this brings me back to a conversation that I was to have today with a couple of uh friends of mine. And so we were really on the topic what what we're holding on to, okay? And how we're able to come to a place where we're able to release it. And like when we look at our story, okay, when you tell me about your dad and all of these things, it's a part of your story, right? And for some reason, someone's listening to this that could have gone through something similar, and for some reason, you're hitting them in the spot that they need to hear it, right?
Yeah.
And so, have you been able? I understand that you're still bitter in a sense with certain aspects, but have you been able to really release a lot of that bitterness yet? And if you have, how did you do it?
Hmm. So this kind of comes back to me having my identity around prep and being so hyper
Mhm.
focused on that. So, I recently just in my most recent YouTube video, I shared my whole prep experience, but really the overarching lesson there was that after my dad passed in June, I was already dieting. So I was like on the road to the stage at that point. So I was really just dialed in on prep, and I was going through the emotions, but I wasn't truly feeling them. I thought I was, but I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. So after prep was over and I was just kind of sitting with my thoughts, then I really started to feel everything. And I was on the phone with my mom and I was like, you've been grieving, because like I was doing so much better than my mom and my brother. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would cry, but I remember my brother even said to me like, this was like very soon after it happened. He's like, I just don't understand how you're so strong or whatever. And I was like, I'm not like, I'm experiencing just like you, but like, I don't know. I just have like a different outlook, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But what it was is I just had a wall up. So now I'm feeling those emotions, and really the breath work. I did like the one like aggressive session where I was able to, like, without judgment, sit there for an hour, however long it was, and just feel everything and cry like a maniac. And like, I guess that like that moved some emotions through me. But really, just like it's coming up a lot more now than it was before. So when it does come up, if I'm not in public, like I
Mm-hmm.
will just like let myself fully fall apart
Mm-hmm.
and like and that's okay. Not just try not to like judge myself and be like, I have XYZ that I have to accomplish, but I'm like, this is important right now. So I guess that is um like has been helping me. And I find that I feel a lot better
Mm-hmm.
after I allow my like I'll have a shit day and it'll be in my head. And then once I finally just like do just fucking have at it, like just cry your eyes out,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm like, oh, I'm okay. Then I'm okay for a few days. Then it comes up
Mm-hmm.
again. But I think the more that I do that, I know like time heals all, but with you know the correct action, like taking like steps, the correct steps to like actually move through things, that's been helping a lot. So again, forgot what your question was, but how have I like moved through, how have I like been able to release like the pain and stuff of that nature? Is that what your question was?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah. Yeah. You got it there.
I'm like, I'm such
Yeah.
a great listener.
Yep. Yep. Look, no one's gonna beat me at listening, and I understand that. It's okay. That's my ego innocent and like, you know, um, but at the same time, like no, like however someone interprets a question and and is able to answer and like have this conversation, um, I know that it's just like we're connecting on a deeper level and someone that's listening may find this beneficial and I know that there's someone, even if just like one person actually listens, I know I just have this deep knowing that someone needs it for some reason. Someone needs
Yeah.
that little nugget, which is
Yep.
which is a huge part of why I do it. That's not the whole reason why I do it, honestly. Because I mean there's selfish reasons too, you know.
100%.
But
You're
yeah, yeah, so I'm not trying to like put on a front and say, yeah, I do every podcast just so that someone else can benefit from it. Like,
for you,
no.
nothing for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like no, that's not how it is. Um from there though, thank you for being just open and vulnerable and all of these aspects that we've been able to share in this conversation thus far. When I look at your business, okay, and when I look at you as a woman, I am able to see like a very strong masculine and feminine that you're able to embody, right? And
Yeah. Okay.
so when you look at your business, a lot of it, like the action parts, can be masculine driven.
Mhm.
So how do you balance that I'm gonna go, 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 and the creative feminine side for yourself?
Mm. That is difficult. I feel like I'm almost like I'm worse at the not as good at the creative part of things.
Hmm.
I feel like I am very not system driven, but it's
Hmm.
like this is how I do things.
Yeah.
I have a plan set in place and I execute. So I'm like
Hmm.
good at that.
Hmm.
But then when it comes to the creative part, it's more of a challenge, I suppose. But I feel like it's almost difficult to, I feel like I'm almost not the best at balancing it. It's like I'm either one way shifted in this direction and like trying to acquire clients and like doing everything on the business end. And then I'm either over here where I'm like having great conversations and just like creating and like sharing what I think is valuable and things of that nature. So and I guess in its own sense, like that is the balance. I
Yeah.
go over here and I go
Yeah.
over here. It's not like
Yeah.
I don't know how to do them all together.
Hmm.
Today I'm doing this, and tomorrow I'm going to be doing this. Like,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, no, that's okay. I mean, I think when I look at it, it doesn't have to be like, all right, the first half of my day is like masculine and driven and all of
right,
these things. And then the second half of my day, I just like lay on the beach or something. You know, it doesn't
right.
have to be to that. I didn't know if there was like a process that you go through in terms of like, ooh, actually, here's what I'll ask you.
Okay.
When we look at the, let me ask you this, and I'm just looking for a yes or a no, I guess. Would do you believe that you have more of like masculine qualities or feminine qualities if there was like a percentage to them?
You want me to answer that with a yes or no?
Okay, well, not a yes or no. You know what I'm saying? You know what
Do
I'm
I
saying?
think I'm more
In
masculine
order.
or
Yeah.
I I would my initial thought was masculine,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm more masculine than
Mm-hmm.
feminine. I have more qualities, I guess.
Okay. Do you think that to tie this back into relationships, that you have attracted more masculine driven men or feminine quality men?
Funny enough, I feel like I attract more like feminine, like,
Okay.
and I'm like, what the hell?
Hmm.
Which is weird. That's
Yeah.
hmm.
Yeah. Interesting.
It is interesting because you attract what you put out there. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
am I more? That's I don't know.
Hmm. We'll
That's
sit
a
with
thing.
that for a little bit.
Yeah, I'll let that one
Yeah.
marinate.
Yeah. Um, so now when you look at that, I mean, how do you think that when we look at like the more masculine versus the more feminine, and everyone has qualities of both, you know, um, just in case like someone is looking and like confused by this conversation, things of that nature. So, how are you going to go about finding a more masculine man in your like relationships now?
I'm going to be completely honest. I feel like when I say like I understand the premise of like masculine and feminine
Yeah,
energy. Um, but I'm not like super dialed into that. So
cool.
I feel like that's a really good question because I feel like where I look for partners, like
Hmm.
not the only place, like a lot of times at the gym,
Yeah,
out at the gym. So
yeah,
like,
sure. We all have a
which I
gym
feel like,
crush.
right, right.
Yeah, of course.
I need to stop meeting people at the gym because that's like when
Yep.
things work out. I've been learning my lessons slowly, but
Hmm.
I feel like, and then when you're at the gym, that's more of like your masculine energy, right? Like you're
Hmm.
like, so I would think that like that's doing the right thing, trying
Hmm.
to meet people that are more in their masculine energy. But
Hmm.
um, and I guess almost with your question of like, do I meet more men that are more masculine or feminine, like dominant? I don't even know that my answer is correct. I guess like it's not like I'm not meeting manly men,
Yeah.
which
We're
but
not
I
trying to
guess
throw anyone under the bus. We're just having like an objective conversation in a sense, you know?
right, right.
So, yeah.
Um, but this is interesting that I think that a lot of the issue that I see is like the people that I meet are not driven. And I
Mhm.
kind of equate that to not having like masculine energy, which is not true.
Okay.
Like if you're more, no, go on.
Okay. I was going to say, all right. Do you think that it could be part of your environment as well then? Do you think that you may need to go and move to a New York City, a California where people are so driven and like everyone is go 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 go? Do you think that you would thrive more in that type of environment?
That's a really good question. And it's funny. So Virginia Beach is like a military town. I
Hmm.
did not know. Wasn't really like aware of that. So everyone that I meet here is in the military.
Oh, okay.
Not everyone, but a lot of people. And military, like, oh, tough guys. But like
Hmm.
they they're being told what to do by whoever's in
Hmm.
charge of them. It's not like they have their own goals that they're working towards. I mean, I'm sure people
Yeah.
do, but like career wise,
Hmm.
they are, given the task at hand and that's what they do. So mate, that very well could be like
Hmm.
changing my environment to even you said California or like Austin, Texas, all the
Hmm.
entrepreneurs are there,
Hmm.
like it's an area like that. Like maybe that's a
Hmm.
fair
Hmm.
point.
Okay. Um, to wrap up this conversation, because I think this was good and helpful, what's the best way to approach a girl at the gym then?
Oh, this okay.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
this question
Yeah.
because people are like, don't approach a girl at the gym. No, no,
Yep.
no.
Yep.
You can just read the fucking room.
Hmm.
Okay. So I don't like when I talk to guys, my guy friends that are like, I want to talk to this girl at the gym. The
Hmm.
first time you see her, don't go up there and ask for her phone number.
Hmm.
You got to, there's some things that need to happen
Yep.
first. So you
Lay
need
the
to make eye
groundwork.
contact.
Yep.
And if she makes eye contact with you and doesn't like, like if you make eye contact, okay, then maybe do a little smile. She smiles back, or like a
Mm.
head nod or something like that.
Nice.
Just acknowledging them and like, and then I feel like this is more of a, for me, I think it's more of a long game, but it's like
Mm. Mm.
you see somebody at the gym, you start to smile at them and then you start to like, you recognize each other and then you say, hey, and then you can be like, hey, like, what are you training? Just like become friends. And then I would say after like a few interactions, it could be a few smiles, it could be whatever, then it's okay to approach them. But if they
Okay.
are, first of all, if they're mid-set, oh my God.
Yes.
Cancel your gym membership. Don't ever go
Yep.
back there.
Yep.
Or if she's clearly like in the zone, like if I'm sitting with my headphones and I'm like, and then someone like, dude, come on, like I am clearly that's
Mm.
not okay. But in
Mm.
between sets, if she's just chilling and you've made eye contact and you get the vibe, I know it's kind of hard if you don't know, and like you could be
Mm.
reading the room completely wrong.
Yeah.
I've done that too. Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
but I think, and also maybe not. I guess asking for the phone number is fine. So that's a hit or
Mm.
miss. I feel like sometimes girls just don't want to be bothered in the gym. But yeah,
Hmm.
the making those small
Mm.
interactions with the eye contact and the smiling, that's crucial before you go in for the kill.
Gotcha. Much more of the cat and mouse type game. All right.
Yes,
Play the
yes.
long game.
Yep.
Nicole, where can we find you before we get into our final question here?
Okay. You can find me on Instagram, Nicole Dewes _. That's where I post most frequently. And then I also, so I'm on Facebook, but it's not anything crazy. I feel like Facebook's more for the family, but
Hmm.
just my name, Nicole Dewis. And then on YouTube, also Nicole Dewis. That is my newest venture that I'm really getting excited about. So
Mm.
Instagram and YouTube are primarily my two places. And in my Instagram bio, you can see my little link tree and you can
Hmm.
find my YouTube and also my email list. I send out emails weekly for all the value. So
Mm. Don't worry, we'll put it in there. So,
perfect.
our last question comes from the last guest. Um, also a mastermind participant, Ashton
Okay.
McGettigan.
Mhm.
Um, if you could be any flavor muffin, what would it be and why?
Well, obviously, I would be chocolate chip.
Okay.
He
All right.
goes, okay. Are you a banana nut? I feel like
No, no, like my first thought, like chocolate chip, I love chocolate chip muffins. Like
mhm,
love muffins in general. My
mhm.
first thought process was that it's just so like ordinary. Like if you're gonna pick a muffin, you just say, I'm gonna be a chocolate chip muffin or I'm gonna be a blueberry muffin. Like I'm just gonna fit in with everyone else. Like I'm gonna be a pistachio muffin.
Okay. See, I'm not a muffin connoisseur, so I'm like, what other muffin? And
Okay,
funny enough, I was about to say shit. I should have said blueberry. Like I'm chocolate chip or blueberry.
I'm logging off.
I'm like, forget the whole thing, scrap it. I okay, I guess it's like I love chocolate. So like that, like, and everybody loves chocolate. So
Okay,
like, so that's my answer. That's my truth.
great. That's my truth. All right. You know what?
It,
Thanks for being on, I guess. This was fun.
this will never
So,
happen again. Thank you for
nope.
having
All right.
me.
Thanks, guys.